Welcome to ELH 4x4 doing stuff. Today we're getting ready to install a radio system into the 2000 Silverado 1500. It is a base model for the radio system because there's like different levels. There's an up level and premium and all that, but this is a base level. And I got this from Rock Auto. And it comes with the install kit. We don't have steering wheel control, so we won't be using that maybe. I don't know. And it comes with other wiring harnesses. I'm not going to use these. We're going to do solder and heat shrink. And then it comes with a bezel also. So this is where we're at. During a rocker panel installation video, the left front speaker had, you know, that standard speaker wire running on the outside of the door and then up and through. And we have the existing wiring harness that runs through the door. Here's a connector here that it goes to, and then that goes up and into the main harness. And what I noticed was that the wiring harness that goes from the radio to the main harness, there were two wires that were disconnected from the butt connectors that were just out there flapping, and then the other wire, that speaker wire that came up, non-factory speaker wire, was plugged into other two wires. So what I did was an ohms check to see if the existing wiring harness had continuity in the door. All right, so from here to here, where are we looking? Do we have continuity? So we got our handy wiring diagram. All right, so here we go. We got premium level. We're not worried about premium. We got base level stereo. And we're looking for left front, which would be a gray and tan, confirmed in the door, gray and tan, going up. And a gray and tan for the speaker wire. Left front negative is gray. Left front positive is tan. So we're going to go through all the speakers and make sure that they got the negative and the positives in the right place. So I'm going to get my voltmeter. We're going to do some probing and check continuity. Stand by. All right, so I'm just going to be using a cheapy little pocket-sized multimeter. You may not be able to see it because the cables are kind of short, so I'm going to have to hang it, but we're going to listen for an audible tone. We're going to look for the gray and tan wire. So I just so happen to have in the black connector a gray and tan. All right, so I'm going to hold the gray wire down here. And touch the gray wire up here. Or am I? Gray wire. All right. I'm trying to show you that you don't need like high speed diagnostic tools to run these tests, but all right, here we go. So we got 0.5 ohms, 0.4, 0.3. All right, so we got good continuity on the gray wire. Let's move over to the tan wire. Okay, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with the factory wiring harness. Why they bypassed it, I don't know. But good news is that the factory harness is intact. So I'm going to go get the better, longer test leads and go back through and check the other speaker wires. But my main concern was making sure that the left front speaker harness was intact. All right, let's look at our connector. We got black on top. 4 speaker wires are going to be on the right hand side of the connector, starting with dark green, or light green and dark green. Light green and dark green is right front door speaker. Tan and gray is going to be left front door speaker. Flip the connector upside down, and on the right side, starting with light blue and blue, is going to be the right rear speaker. Light blue, dark blue. Yellow and brown, left rear speaker. All right. There we go. So this wiring harness that comes with the radio plugs directly in to the existing factory harness, but they changed the colors. To match the radio harness. All right, so we're looking at the connector, and we got green and purple. Well, green is rear left and rear right. And then we'll flip the connector over, and we got gray and white. Left front. Right front. White and gray. And that's how these wires are depicted. And then we got all the other wires to go off of. So this connector kit, the 1858, 70-1858 from 86 to 2005 comes with the radio. Right, and we got this little JVC KDX280BT Bluetooth. Mic in, subwoofer, and then there should be I'm looking for a remote. Maybe not. All right, no big deal. Remote meaning to turn the amplifier on, but we ain't got an amplifier. We're not worried about that. So, all right, we're going to go through connecting the wiring harness together and getting the installation kit onto the radio. All right, so we got this little microphone thing. I'm going to route it behind the A-pillar cover. And inside the dash, there's a straight shot that I could be able to pull the wire out with one of these little grabby things. And then we'll just route it through here. And we also got the bezel set up. We make sure that it fits with the dash trim, which it does. And we still got to address the speaker wire. But I got the harness. Take the time to glue any tabs that broke off. Right, and I got some of these tabs glued into with this plastic bonder. What did we come back here for? Oh. The wiring harness is all soldered up. So if you want to take what would be 5 minutes and turn it into about an hour's worth, not even, but about 30 minutes of soldering, that's what you do. But it looks good. All right, we're going to get this microphone routed. And grab it with the claw. And like I said, route it through this area and bring it in back through here. And then we'll solder up the speaker. All right, so we got our microphone routed, wrapped around this wire here to keep it out of the A-pillar cover. And then we got it routed up and around the dash. And we'll just take a lot of the excess wire, roll it back up with the wire tie that it came with, and get it ready to plug in. So we're getting there. All right, now I can focus my attention on fixing the speaker wire there. All right, we'll get this A-pillar trim cover connected back up here and route our microphone. And we'll come back maybe after I fix that, who knows. All right, I'm all over the place with this, but let's see what happens when we plug the radio in. Nothing. All right. Where are the keys? Womp womp. All right, we're gonna plug the radio in. We got our speakers hooked up. Check wiring. Miswiring. Isn't that something? All right, so I'm racking my brains out here. We plug it in. We turn the key on. And then it says miswiring. So I went through all of the power, you know, even swapped out ignition and battery power, and I looked at all the speakers, and this is what I found. You got a light blue and a dark blue. And dark blue is positive, right rear positive. All right, so this dark blue is going to the black wire. And this black wire is negative. So could it be that it actually sensed that one of the speakers was hooked up wrong? Let's find out. So I'm going to swap these wires real quick and then we'll get right back to it. All right, let's try it again. Miswiring. Check wiring. All right, so I got to do a continuity check from all the speaker wires to make sure that they're not shorted out. I know that the left side is good. We got to do the right side. If I find something, I'll report back. All right, so I got off of the phone with tech, and it makes sense what they were talking about. They were saying get rid of all of the connections, because it could be a short inside of the radio or a short in the vehicle. I'm pretty positive that the wiring harness is intact, because I ohmed all of the speaker wires and all that. So we save power and ground and all the other wires that I spent taking my time to, you know, get them all soldered up. We got to disconnect. So when we isolate powers and grounds, it's going to be inside of the radio, right? And if it does come down, you know, I just send the radio back through Rock Auto, and you know, that's what the guy on the phone said. It would be a lot quicker just exchanging the radio instead of getting it sent into the warranty claim and having them rebuild the radio. All right, so now we got powers and grounds, all right? And there you have it. So I guess it was something with the wiring. All right, now we got to go through and hook up every single wire individually until I get this error code. So how about that? So we got the rear speakers working, but there's something going on with the front speakers. So I'm going to disconnect them and wire them, because as soon as I wire up the right front speaker, it shows with a wiring problem, and I'm not getting any sound out of my left. I don't know if I have to hook the tweeter up. I'll try that, but at least it's not the radio. And I ohms checked. I was getting 4 ohms, including the speaker. 4 ohm speaker going through the wire. So I'll disconnect the speaker, do an ohms check on the harness, and see what happens. So I'm getting high resistance on this wire. Everything else, all of the other speaker wires are measuring around 0.3 to 0.4. But this light green one to here is 0.7. Sometimes it was 1.8, 1.9, and then it would drop down. See, it's fluctuating. If I move the harness, it's stuck at 8. There we go. Right, but I can go over to the other side, maybe. Point 5. 0.4. So there might be something wrong with this wire. Let me get it set up from this connector up here to this one. So we're at the actual inside, not the door harness. So inside, 0.3 up here will... Was I dark green or light green? Light green, so I'll go over to dark green. Now in the left side door speaker, the connector came loose, so I had to tighten the connector. right? 0.3. So we know the interior harness is good. It's coming down to this door. So I'm going to pull this stuff out and maybe even hook this speaker up back here to see if the speaker's bad. All right, so we got the radio installed into the bezel. And the wiring harness down here that goes into the door is disconnected at the connector against the kick panel. So then what we're going to do now is plug all the stuff in. Antenna, microphone, main power, and then tuck all the wiring there we go. Right, and the reason why I'm telling you about, you know, disconnecting that, I forget what we discussed before, but, you know, we were having that wiring issue.
They have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go.
Right, so we know for a fact that the wiring harness going to the door is bad for the speakers. So there we go. Radio installed. All right, that's what it looks like with the dash panel on. And now we could focus our attention to the door wiring harness. All right, so we're going to replace the speaker wire at the connector. Is this green tape factory? I don't think so. I don't know. Carefully remove the tape without doing more damage. So you can see on these connectors, they got the wires doubled up. All right, one for the speaker, one for the tweeter. We're going to try to, you know, get all the wire replaced all the way up to the tweeter, which means we have to, what do you guys look at? All right, we have to go all the way up, all the way. It's only a couple of feet or so. All right, so I'm going to continue to peel this back. You can kind of see how in this connector, they got two flaps of rubber on both sides. So I'm going to cut this out and yeah, you'll see. All right, we don't have to pull the whole connector through this, whatever you want to call this thing. So we got light green is in slot 6, dark green is in slot 5. And this part right here is what snaps into this thing, into this part. So I used this little key to get it out. Anyway, we're going to pull these wires through. Before we do that, though, let's put this clip back in. Okay. There we go. I'm going to continue to remove it out of the wiring loom. All right, so I got a sharper razor blade. All right, and what I do now is I get a pick and I make sure that I'm over the wire, and you can kind of pull up on the pick a little bit and trace the razor blade over the pick, and that way you don't cut the wires, right? We're not here to cut other wires. There you go. See? That way you don't have to worry about slicing the wires. Another thing, before we remove the wire, we can see how long it is, you know, where it traces along the rest of the wires, and what part sticks out. You can measure that to make sure you got the right length going into the wire loom. And we'll do the same thing down at the speaker, like the main speaker. We'll measure to see how long this section is. All right, this is what we got for the speaker harness. So I'll lay out the wires, cut it, see if I can't find a close matching connector, or I might have to reuse these, and then see what kind of connector is inside this little clip for the tweeter. All right, so we got our new wiring harness made and hooked up. Before we actually route it through everything, I turned the radio on and it didn't show an error message. I ohmed the wires through the connector to each individual lead, and they ohmed out at 0.3 ohms. So now we're going to hook the speaker up and see if it works. I kept having a problem with the driver side speaker going out, and it ended up being the speaker wires were sticking out a little bit, so when the window rolled down, it kept unplugging it. So I got the wire routed a little bit better, so it shouldn't do that anymore. Remember, dark green is negative, and the white is the new light green. They didn't have light green wires where I was shopping. Okay. And before what I'm going to have to do is, what I'm saying is, I'm going to have to actually disconnect these wires from the housing to route it through this little door thing. Anyway, let's get our speaker hooked up. How you doing? All right, let's get this stuff going.
made in the cells of the arteries?
All right, let's see what we got.
There's a way to get that nitric oxide up. Dandelion.
All right. So there you go. Now we got to disconnect. Wait, I got to disconnect the connector, route the tape, you know, redo this wiring loom and route it through the door thing and all that. So I will show you what we got when I get it all buttoned up. All right, so this is what we got. Once I snaked the wire back through and hooked up the connector, I turned the radio back on to make sure that we still had speaker function. So we're good to go on that. And yeah, I'm going to button this stuff up, but this was ELH 4x4 doing stuff. Thanks for watching. Radio install on the 2000 Silverado 1500. See you at the next one. All right, so once I got everything all buttoned back up again, it decided to throw that error code. And I noticed when I was putting a speaker in on the right side, passenger side speaker, it would arc a little bit on the screw. So here, let me try to get this thing up. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. We got some continuity going to the speaker case, both on the negative and a positive side. So the speaker is shorted out. So was that the problem all along? Maybe. So the speaker's bad. But it was still throwing a code with the speaker unplugged, so maybe it was a little bit of both. Maybe the speaker went bad and I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just going to replace all 4 speakers. But I thought I'd just show that to you, so little bonus.